Hello and welcome to the Etoft21sports Show for April 2nd. How is everyone doing? My name is Eric. I'm the man behind Etoft21sports. We have an absolutely loaded episode for you today. My boy Okane, my neighbor to the north from Wisconsin, is this week's special guest. Him and I are going to look back at the Elite Eight, the Sweet 16, share some Final Four bets, and as always, Gino will have his horse racing bet of the day from Santa Anita this week. But before I get into all that, I'd like to say thank you to the sponsor of the show, Parlay Play. If you're not using Parlay Play, you are really missing out. Go to the App Store, download the Parlay Play app, use promo code NFL Betting Blitz for a nice little deposit match. Now let's shift our attention over to some horse racing and see what Gino has cooking for us at Santa Anita this week.
Another big week of racing coming up at Santa Anita. There's actually 4 days of racing. The Santa Anita Derby is on Saturday. You have the Wood Memorial at Aqueduct on Saturday. Keeneland opens up with their opening day on Friday. They have the Bluegrass on Saturday. Let's get things started on Thursday at Santa Anita. They actually have a couple graded stakes races during the week, too. This is a good card on Thursday. Let's jump to race number 5. You'll notice with the horse like Musical Rhapsody, she's lost to the same horse 4 times in a row named Linda's Gift. And the reason why is because Linda's Gift just has more early speed than Musical Rhapsody. Musical Rhapsody is more of a closer. She just has to come running late, not that fast early. And when you start going through this field, you'll find a lot of the mares in this race are similar to Musical Rhapsody, where they just don't have a whole lot of early speed. The 1, the 2, the 4, Freedom Last, you can see. The 5, Lady Claypool, who's actually a filly. She's only 4. The 6, Luminiferous, also a filly. These fillies and mares just don't have a lot of early speed. Sakura Flavor showed some early speed last time out. She was aggressively handled in a race where there just wasn't much of it. Cornelia Fort has shown some previously in the past. Maybe they can get a little aggressive from the outside. I think the race shapes up very well for Mirari, who does just seem to be naturally the quickest. But also, she's not a need the lead type. She showed us in her career debut she can sit off the pace and pass horses if she has to. They just got aggressive with her last time out. So I'm going to give the 3 top billing in here. She's 4-1 on the morning line on Thursday, and that's race number 5 at Santa Anita. If she's anything 3-1 or above, I think that's very fair value on her. We'll have a lot of previews this weekend for big races all around the country. Good luck. Make sure to get to drf.com for any of your needs when you're playing the races, and tune in every week right here for the best info in sports from Eric.
Make sure to give my boy Gino a follow at It's Me Gino B on X. Him and I are on his podcast every single week talking NFL, NBA, college hoops, you name it. Now let's bring this week's special guest on, my boy Okane. What is up, my friend?
How we doing, man? Good to be back.
Dude, it's been a while. Some stuff is happening. We got one comment. I used to be a Bucks season ticket holder. I know you're a Bucks fan. My boy Bobby chimes in right away. Worried about your Bucks losing tonight.
Yeah, that was so in Wisconsin we have Bally Sports. So watching games is borderline impossible unless you want to pay out of your ass. So I was checking in on the stream little bit by little bit, and I saw it go final here a few minutes ago. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We're losing games we shouldn't, but it's hard to put a lot into the regular season. We used to put a lot into the regular season, win 60-plus games, but it usually came with a postseason exit. So we'll see how this era goes.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's so hard for me in the NBA to put any value because the playoffs are just going to be completely different.
Yeah.
Teams are going to be trying. Teams are going to be resting. Embiid came back. We really have no idea what we're going to expect from Embiid or anything moving forward in the playoffs. And I'll say it, I don't trust Tatum. I don't trust Brown. I mean, this team has been around for a while. They've always been like, this is going to be their year. Maybe they just aren't winners. Maybe they just aren't going to be that team that gets over the hump and wins it. I don't know. I just don't sip that Kool-Aid. And the West, I have 100-1 on the Thunder. I hope to God the Thunder make it to the Western Conference Finals, mess around with the hedging a little bit, but I don't know. I think it's a little more wide open this year than people think.
Yeah, the Thunder were my only future in the NBA. I had them to make the playoffs at minus $1.50. Loaded up on that one. I felt pretty confident about them. To win it all would be a hell of a run. It's a lot of young guys. It'd be pretty impressive if they could put that together.
I hate the Lakers 99. What about my Clippers?
A lot of names.
I got the Clippers at 20-1, my friend.
Sure.
So if the Clippers do it, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I don't know. I will say this. I thought Harden played it better than Embiid in the series against Boston last year. I think Harden gets a little unfairly backlash because of that. Also, NAA 86. Can anyone beat UConn?
We get two more chances. We get two more opportunities. I don't know. We'll talk plenty about UConn, but man, they are. We look back at it. I can't believe I was born in '96. So I mean, UConn basketball has been maybe the most constant thing in college sports outside of like Alabama football recently for me. So yeah, we'll talk plenty about UConn, but two more chances. We'll see.
I'm added in the chat. Should have been Tenny. Should have been Tenny, NA. I had a heavy future on my boys down south, and I'm going to be talking about that in my takeaway. I thought this was their year to do it in Tennessee.
I had him in the Final Four as well.
Okay, so this guy Sports Facts, bless his heart. This guy talks so much shit to me, and I was 5-2 betting Oklahoma State this year. Never says anything about the time they won or the times we bet them and they straight up won. But he thinks I'm this Oklahoma State fan. I think they should have hired the South Florida coach. I really like that guy with how he plays. What he did with that roster was insane. This guy from Western Kentucky, I mean, offense, pressing, I really don't think that plays with how the Big 12 plays. I think the South Florida coach would have been a better coach. Guys, keep the questions coming. The chat room is open. We're at the part of the show where we're going to be talking about takeaways. Okay, what is your takeaway from the weekend of the Elite Eight and everything?
Yeah, man. The biggest thing I take away right now is we are in the era of the big man. We have come full circle from the rain a million threes. Now we do have a team in Alabama that can do that, but we are in the era of having a dominant big man. This is how you get to this position. Edey, Klingon, obviously we've seen what we've seen out of the big men changes, obviously. Edey, we kind of have seen him grow. We knew what we had in him last year. Klingon, to me, is probably the one that, as impressive as Edey is, Klingon has changed the most. Last year, he had a lot of injury issues. He never really, and he probably had a chance to go pro if he wanted to. He wouldn't have been in a great spot, but I don't see a world where anybody talks about anybody else but DJ Burns. You have to talk about DJ Burns. He's probably the most. He's the guy that everybody wants to be. He is. So all eyes will be on him, obviously. But to me, that was what I came away from. 3 out of the 4 teams that are left have a big that everybody knows and absolutely affects the game one way or another.
This comment is hilarious. I
also agree that Edey is a bitch. I'm a Big Ten fan, so I can't stand the guy. I'm very excited that we have max 2 more games that we have to watch of him in college.
So here's the thing. I coach. One of the kids I work with saw him at a Chipotle in Detroit. Nice dude. Talked to my student said he talked to him for about 5 minutes. Very polite, took pictures, autographed. For that, I am fine with it, dude. You know what? But I cannot. It's a hard watch because there's just so many free throws. There's just no rhythm to the game. And I kind of think that's why he gets a little bit of the negative backlash just because of all the free throws. And everyone is like, oh, the game is being called unfair. It's just a tough watch. It's just a tough watch watching them play. RG chimes in, dude. Brewers are 5-0 to start the season. Are they legit?
Feels legit to me, man. It feels legit to me. Only 4-0, but yeah, definitely feels legit right now. But it's early. We talked about that a little bit before. When you lose the pitching that you lost, it's you hope some things fall into place, but I'm not going to get my hopes up yet.
My takeaway. I really feel Rick Barnes cost the Tennessee their chance. They went in there with the game plan. We are going to let Edie get his, and we're not going to give up any threes. With how the game was going, Purdue couldn't hit the broadside of the barn from deep. And Edie was getting everyone in foul trouble so much. You're playing Estella, who hadn't done anything this year, and he did a great job. But you're taking your bigs out of the game. You had to adjust with how the game was being called and start doubling Edie. Ohio State had a great time doubling Edie, active hands, swiping the ball away. I really think Tennessee should have done that, especially with how much they were struggling offensively. Dalton Connect had one of the best games in the history of the tournament.
He was incredible.
No one is going to talk about it. He scored 37 of their 66 points.
Yeah.
37 of their 66 points.
I think he had 31 shots. The rest of the team had 31 shots. I mean, it was.
Ziegler was missing free throws, missing open threes. Adu looked like a deer in headlights. They literally could not get anything going. And because of that, you had to change stuff up. You had to do something else. And it was a coaching mishap. But that's what Rick Barnes is. He's been in these situations before with these teams that were equipped to make a run, and they didn't do it. So my takeaway is same old Rick Barnes, and he cost the Vols a chance to win it all, to make the Final Four and possibly win it all. They were my pick to win it all. I thought with their defense, their guard play, they had the big, they had Connect. They were my pick. Cool, Kev. What is up, my man? How are you doing tonight? Also, another takeaway is this. I cannot remember a tournament where we've seen shot variance be such a big thing. Maybe I'm just, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm just spacing on last year, but everyone's talking about Alabama's defense.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just kind of take a peep back. Clemson, top 10 in the free throw percentage. They had guys that were shooting 80% missing free throws. They went 3 of 11 in the second half.
Yeah.
Shot 60% for the game. Against Grand Canyon. I had Grand Canyon going to the Sweet 16.
I did too.
Grand Canyon, 20th best free throw shooting team in the league. They missed like 14, 2 of 20 from beyond the arc. Mm-hmm. To me, it's just been a weird shot variance. Like shot quality is a site I use. I love shot quality. They actually graded NC State against Marquette as a 16-point.
Oh, I know. That's been a lot of talk here in Wisconsin. Is that Marquette? I mean, that's the craziest shit. And the conspiracy theory behind it, I don't know if you're aware of it. The overinflated basketballs. I don't know if you're familiar with that yet. Do a little looking on the good old Bird app on that one. There's some really good TikToks out there talking about the difference in how bouncy some of the balls are, how deep rebounds are going. There's been a lot of shot variance, like you said. Watching a team go on a 30-0 run is the meltdown that nobody has ever seen before on that stage. I watched a Wisconsin game. My Wisconsin Badgers could not hit a shot against James Madison. And to James Madison, who is supposedly this great three-point shooting team, then goes on and plays in the next round, and they can't hit a shot. I mean, it just constantly keeps changing. And that's why, again, and I go back to what I touched on, having that dominant big, being able to go to somebody inside where it doesn't have to be, we need Dalton Connect to shoot 31 times. And shout out to Tennessee for even the fact how poorly the rest of the team played. And it was a close game, the whole game for the most part. It was incredible. I think somebody's going to be really, really happy with him in the NBA. He's the whole package minus the defense, which doesn't really matter in the NBA. But yeah, the shot variance to me is a huge head scratcher that I can't really put my finger on and remember another year that we've seen it up and down and up and down and up and down.
It's just been insane. Also, one more thing before we get into that, the women's game last night, need to touch on that. Great for the sport. 12.5 million viewers of the LSU UConn game. And after that, they had USC and UConn, another great game. My question for you is this. Are we going to see with those women transitioning to the WNBA, are we going to see kind of their popularity grow up a little bit? Or because it's played in the summer when most people are on vacation, are we going to kind of see it kind of, not really grow and the college games still be more popular than the WNBA game?
That's an awesome way to talk about it. And honestly, it's not something I'd given a lot of thought to. But yeah, the WNBA gets buried in the dog days. I am not actively watching. Those are the 2 months that I kind of take off gambling wise and kick back and maybe bet a little bit of, Euro soccer or whatever's going on. Rarely am I watching the WNBA, but if it's happening adjacent, if you're running the NBA playoffs right around the same time the WNBA playoffs are run, and how the NCAA has done it, and I think it's probably a little bit of a cheat code, and I think it's also why, as I'm watching the NIT right now, they're doing an incredible job with scheduling these postseason tournaments. We've got basketball on pretty much every night, and it's terrific, and you get great basketball. Caitlin Clark, obviously, for us being in the Midwest, we see Caitlin Clark's walking down the street every single day, and watching one hoop like she does is pretty freaking sweet. And LSU, for as much of a story as Caitlin Clark is, they have so many characters on that team, including Malarkey, which, LSU, I hope that this continues. I think this generation of chicks we have right now are special in the fact that they feel like they are getting a lot more shine than anybody else in the past, and they're playing like it.
2 months off is soft, LOL.
That's okay. 2 months. I shouldn't say it's off, but it's 2 months of not doing the podcast and not really doing much. It's baseball season. I don't bet a whole lot of baseball.
I don't bet a lot of baseball either, but I kind of get suckered into it.
Yeah. It's hard not to bet anything. I've not cold turkeyed it in a sense.
I usually shut down shop in August. Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of shut down shop, get ready for college, go on some vacations.
Yep.
Kind of all that jazz. Also, I think it's important, like we're talking, you made a great point. The way these games are staggered is just insane. It was a great way it's in staggered because you had the NIT tonight. Friday, you have the women's Final Four, Saturday, men's Final Four, Sunday, championship game, Monday, championship game. And Thursday, you have the NIT championship.
Yeah.
The staggering of these games was absolutely phenomenal. My only thing is Wednesday night, give me the CBI. Give me the CBI. Give me that championship right there. That deserves a little bit of love, dude.
Let the CBI play the CIT champion on that night. Do that.
Maybe. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, do that. That's the only night they're giving us is Wednesday, and I don't see why leave that empty. We've packed every other day with basketball. Might as well
keep it going. Now we have reached my absolute favorite part of the show. We're going to be talking some betting. We got to bring up our Sweet 16 bets from last week. Wade from Wade's Bets. He went a perfect 3-0. Hit Illinois plus 110, Duke plus 4, NC State plus 6. Unfortunately, old Uncle Rico. We only hit Tennessee -2. We lost Houston -3.5 and UNC -3. So I got to pick up my game, and you know what, my man? You gotta follow Wade's steps, dude.
That's a tough act to follow.
Wade set the bar pretty high. But real quick, I hate to beat a dead horse, but do you think Houston would have lost that game if Snead didn't get hurt?
No, there's no way they lose that game. And I had Houston. I was very disappointed. That's a shit way to end a season. I think really highly of Houston as a program. I think Kelvin Sampson is one of the best to do it in this era and extend back probably to an era previous. He's he's got a really good thing cooking. I thought this was a year with having a guy like Sheed where they haven't really had the one guy where you can point to and be like, all right, there's who you carry. It was always team defense, hold them. Yeah, that sucked. That sucked. Anytime you lose a guy, and that's how the season ends, it's going to sting a little extra.
Now, and also shot variants. You have the dude from North Dakota State, whatever his name, Nate, the guy with the cheeser mustache.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
With 21 points. And then you have Davis go 4 of 20. I mean, it's just one of those shots. It's just a weird year, man. It is just an absolute weird year. What's the NIT score, man? I'm seeing that.
NIT score 42-25. I've got Seton Hall laying 4.5, so I'm feeling good. I think Georgia's gas is running out.
I got 4, and I'm licking my wounds. I saw an 86.5 for the second half under.
Really?
The first game, I had to play that out of principle.
Yeah.
For the first 10 minutes, it was looking phenomenal, but then there was like 68, 69 points scored in the last 10 minutes. So, we have reached the part of the show where we're talking some betting. Favorite part, as I mentioned. First bet, man. Where are you going, my friend?
Yeah, I'm going to I'm sure it'll be one of the number one bet props of the weekend, but it's Zach Edey over 13.5 rebounds. I can't believe they're giving us this number. As much as I love DJ Burns, he for some reason doesn't really care for rebounding all that much. The guy's going to end with 4 to 5 rebounds at most. He jumps like an inch off the ground. Edey is going to eat underneath. He's averaging 16 through the tournament thus far. 21 of them have come on the offensive end. He's unbelievably aggressive at getting those second chance points. To me, Edey over 13.5. It's right around even money, believe it or not, at some books. So to me, that it seems like a no-brainer. It's one of those just don't overthink it. Zach Edey over rebounds.
Can Burns make it in the league?
Yeah, as a left tackle.
You don't think he'd be a little Zebo in the league?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, if he was, I think Rothstein talked about him playing football, and I think we're past that era of where you can plug and play a guy because players are so specialized now in their sport. Yeah. I don't think you're just sticking a basketball player, especially in an offensive line. But yeah, NBA, I don't know. What are your thoughts there? I'd love to see it. It's just not something I can probably picture.
If he can improve the range, I mean, everyone's looking like if you're 6'9", can rebound and step out and draw someone away. I mean, you can play. I mean,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
He's got such good touch right around the basket. You know, you think somebody can develop a shot like that. And actually, you look back to some bigs. Karl Anthony Towns, not really a 3-point shooter in college. Brooke Lopez developed that shot over time. So it's something that can happen. But he's also not 7'2". He's like 6'9", 6'10".
And I'll make the analogy of this. There was this guy at Louisiana Tech a couple years ago, Kenny Lofton Jr.
I remember Kenny.
And post up, great moves underneath. And he's just filtering around in the NBA right now.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't developed a jump shot. So that's kind of my thing. I think Burns's ceiling is Zach Randolph. If he can develop that jump shot, and his floor is Lofton. Just a guy that's going to be bouncing around in the G League, get a 10-day contract, go back. So I think that's his range. He really needs to develop that jump shot if he has any chance. Did you guys see the video of Edey with the chip?
Yes. That was was it him? Are we sure that's him? I don't know. I couldn't tell.
For those who don't know, it's Zach Edey taking a blonde co-ed in a room. Look, all I'm going to say is this. We're all in college. Enjoy your life. That's all I'm going to say, dude. In college, enjoy your life, dude. And that's what he was doing.
Absolutely. Edey seems to I've seen like 4 or 5 pictures of him partying this week. He seems to enjoy himself, which he's been in college for 100 years. Actually, it's only 4, but it feels like 100. But yeah, he's just being a college kid. Let him be a college kid.
Do you know how much money he gets in NIL?
I don't. Do you?
5 mil. So my thing is this: if I was 21, 22, get $5 million, probably not going to class.
$5 million probably goes a long way in West Lafayette. I'll tell you what.
I have been in West Lafayette a couple times. It is awful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I can't imagine. I mean, going to school there, I'm sure if you're Zach Edey, it's going to be awesome for you no matter where you go. But yeah, having $5 million and living in West Lafayette, I'm sure you're the king of the castle.
Oh, dude, you can't complain at all. My next bet, staying in that game, I am taking Lawyer over 1.5 threes. I actually found this at plus 127. With the way NC State plays defense, they allow a lot of threes, especially to opposing guards. They've allowed 94 three-point attempts to opposing guards throughout this tournament. That is 23.5 per game, just from guards, which is mind-blowing. I also think that after the game Edey had, with Burns being so important to the offense of NC State to keep him in the game, they're going to constantly be blitzing Edey, constantly double teaming him. This is going to lead to more open looks for Lawyer. Led Purdue in three-pointers, 44.1% for the year. He's gone over this total 2 of 4 games in the tournament. Per shot quality is due for some positive shooting regression. The defensive matchup and the positive shooting regression that is due. Look, I'm going to take Lawyer over 1.5 three-pointers at plus 127.
Yeah, I love that. I think NC State definitely got a little lucky. Duke shot like shit last game. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. I think Lawyer's a good shooter. I've seen him a lot being in the Big Ten. Very capable in it. Plus Cheddar, I think that's something I'll be taking a look at as well.
Now, let's go over to one of the interesting games. What is your next bet, my friend?
Yeah, man. Mark Sears. Mark Sears, for those that have had a chance to watch him, the comp that I've heard that's the best one out there, he's Jalen Brunson. He plays just like Brunson. He's got very similar mannerisms. He's the same size. I think he's going to go over 20.5 points. He's cleared this number in all but one game in March thus far. He's attempted 38 threes in the tournament. He's hit 17 of them, so he's hitting them at a decently high percentage. He's going to go out shooting. This is his team. It's funny. I watched Mark Sears at Ohio. He actually played with a dude that was in my conference growing up, and watched that pair dominate in the MAC, and then watching him move to Alabama now, he's become a certified killer. If Bama has a chance, it's going to be on Mark Sears. I think one way or another, that guy is going to get his. UConn showed that you can't get points in the paint against them. It's just not going to happen. Sears can get points so many different ways outside of the paint. It's a number I feel really comfortable with.
Here's a great comment. Thoughts on Sears' mom?
Yes. It's good. I'd say it's Spears' mom versus Dan Hurley's wife. I'm not sure which one we need to see more of during that game.
I don't like how she just brings a basketball and shoots it. For some reason, that really irritates me. That really, really, really irritates me. I cannot.
I find it very funny. I mean, she's a lady that's at like every AAU tournament that you go to. There's one of her.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I played a little basketball back in my day. I got some AAU stories that would blow everyone's mind.
Oh, sure.
And there's always, and I do coaching now, there's always a parent like that is around. In terms of the Brunson thing, yeah, I think I could see that. I think he could come into the league. He can shoot, he can create, he can get people involved. It's going to be interesting to see, with him and Connect, what's the future of the college basketball? We're seeing these kids that come in and now they're seniors that have developed. McDonald's All-American games going on right now. There is only one player that played in that game in this weekend's Final Four. Last year, there was none. So are we going to kind of see like this shift of these older players staying longer with the NIL, developing, and going to be able to be drafted? Because if you face it, last year, Connect wasn't going to be drafted. Sears wasn't going to be drafted. Now at their senior year, these are guys that could probably are going to be on a roster and actually make some headway next year. So I guess my question is, do you think we're going to see the landscape of college basketball change and we're going to see more players stay, develop, and then have a chance to kind of be something in the league?
Yeah, we're watching, you put it perfectly. We're watching this one and done era kind of come to a close. And the perfect example that I see in the first round, I watched a white kid from Pewaukee cook the number 1 ranked recruiting class in the country of Kentucky. So it doesn't matter if you bring in the names. It's like you said, it's about developing. It's about working the portal now, because you look at UConn. UConn recycled a team that really, this was not the UConn team that we saw last year. Like I said, Klingon played a little bit, but he was hurt for a lot of the time. He wasn't a full-time, obviously it was Sonogo was the guy that everybody knew about. They recycled with 2 guards out of the portal, which Hurley's a little bit of a hypocrite. He was talking down on the portal, even though his team is built off of it. But we are seeing that shift. You see the Dalton connects. You see the, and there's probably, obviously there is still going to be one and dones, but I look at a guy, again, talking about Zach Edey. Zach Edey a year ago, we did not talk about as a legitimate NBA prospect. We're now seeing him as high as top 15, being a lottery pick. I mean, staying in and developing your game and getting better. There's 100% something to be said about the guys that are staying in there longer. Now, are they going to have longer NBA careers? That's to be seen, because they are getting into the league with a little bit more wear on the tires, and they're also getting in a little bit older. So it's hard to say.
My next bet, and I'm going back to the NC State game against Purdue. Give me Mr. Horn, Mr. DJ Horn, over 15.5 points. During this run that NC State has been on, Horn has played in 8 of the 9 games. The only game he missed was the first game of this run against Louisville. In the 8 games he's played in, he's gone over this total in 6 of them, averaging 17.1 points per game. In the tournament, he's gone over 3 of 4, averaging 16.5. And the one thing that stuck out to me against Purdue, watching Purdue, I'm in Big Ten country like you are. Anytime there is a wing, a guard that can shoot and create off the dribble, they don't have that guy that can guard him. And that's what DJ Horn is. Also, with Burns being such a factor, and it's kind of my same thought, I don't think they're going to let Edey guard Burns one-on-one. I think they're going to blitz him. I think they're going to force the ball out of his hands. This is going to create more opportunity for Horn. I like DJ Horn to go over 15.5 points for the Wolfpack, my friend.
Yeah, I like that bet. I like anything DJ Horn related. I fear a little bit for the big man in the middle in this one, because if they do try to play one-on-one against Edey, he's going to foul out. He doesn't play great defense. He's got good feet. He does nice things offensively around the cup, but he doesn't play defense. Zach Edey is a legitimate 5 to 7 inches taller than he is. And as much, they probably weigh close to the same weight, but I like where you're looking with this one. I think that, like you said, Purdue's never really had somebody that's going to be able to chase around a guard as shifty as Horn can be. 15.5 feels low, like you said. He's been great on this run, so it'll be interesting, especially if Burns is kind of nullified in the middle. You got to look to Horn. It's the only other guy that really is the big scorer.
Now, back to the thing you said. Who would be the X factor in that game? Like, who would kind of, be the X factor, be that guy? Because there's always this guy in these games, and you just kind of look back, you're like, where the hell did that come from? If I had to bet a guy in that game, I'm spacing on his name now. I would say that guy, number 0 for Purdue. I'm spacing on his name.
I am. I was actually just looking. So, are you talking Lance Jones?
Is he number 0? I'm spacing.
No, he's 50. Lance Jones is 55. But I look at Lance Jones as possibly being one. I've bet a lot of his props this season. It'll be interesting. But like you said, I don't know who's going to step up. We know Edey's going to get 25 plus. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't know what NC State can throw better than what Tennessee could, not that Tennessee did, but what Tennessee could throw at them is better than anything that we're going to see out of NC State. It's going to be an interesting game. I don't know who could possibly step up for either side. I think if you're looking on the NC State side, I think you probably go Horn's way. If you're going Purdue, it's probably going to be Edey. Lure could do it too. He could get hot, but it's
Mason Gills. That's who I'm thinking of.
Mason Gills. Okay.
That's who I'm thinking of. I could see him doing some stuff. My next one, and it's funny. It is literally funny. I was actually looking at this one too, but I went a different direction in this game. Last and final bet, my friend.
Yeah, I bet the Illinois first half. I had +5. We were at a cookout. I was pissed off. I was bitching and moaning about my push. We went out, checked the meet, probably hung out for about 30 to 40 minutes outside. We're like, we should go check on the game. We came back and they were down 16, left for 5 more minutes and they were down 30. In this one, I think Bama hangs around. I think UConn feels them out a little bit. UConn, for as good as they've been, they've outscored their opponents in the second half by 20 points in each of their last 2 games. We saw them also in the Big East tournament. They had close games in the first half against both Marquette and St. John's. Both played within 5 points. I think Bama, with the way that they play, I think if they watch tape, which I know they did, they're not going to the paint. Bama, if they're smart, will not attempt a shot inside the paint that's not in transition because it's going to be blocked. It's going to be altered to the point where you're just not going to be able to do it. But Bama is also a team that I think from the mid-range game, from the three-point game, and from that transition game and just at the pace that they play, 6.5 is a very attainable number in my opinion. But I do think UConn probably outlasts them by the end of the day. I don't know if UConn can lay the big number. I hate both lines this weekend because I just want to bet the dogs. But Bama first half was the one that came to mind.
I like it, and I'll probably do that one too. But I actually went Bama full game.
All right.
Now, here's my thing. I hate this team. They should have lost to Grand Canyon. They should have lost to Clemson. They should have lost to North Carolina. But they're getting 12. And this year, this tournament has been the year of the public. Public sides, are you ready for this? 68%. Could be a dog, could be a favorite. Public sides are 68%. This is the most profitable year for the betting public. And what that means, not more money, but more tickets on the side. Not more money for those people watching. Since it's been the most profitable in 20 years and the most profitable since 2009, which is absolutely insane. Eventually, the ship is going to get righted. We saw this in NFL. There was to NFL start the season, it was public. And then week 8, week 9, it started shifting to more of the sharper sides winning. And I think that's what the Final Four is going to be. UConn is getting 81% of the bets. The house needs Bama. I'm fading the public here. This is the biggest favorite in the Final Four. This is your trivia question, okay? Second biggest favorite ever in the Final Four. Can you guess?
Duke against Butler.
Gonzaga against UCLA.
Oh, gotcha. So that would have been, 3 years ago?
Yep, 3 years ago. That was the biggest one ever. I think they were like 12.5, 13, right around here. Now, teams laying 7 or more in the Final Four the last 20 years, 33% against the number. I've said it for a while. I think St. John's in the Big East tournament kind of laid out what you have to do. Play fast, not attack the middle, and shoot a ton of threes, and pressure and be physical with the guards. And that's exactly how Bama is going to play. They're going to shoot a ton of threes. There's going to be over 30 threes for them in a game. They are going to play insanely fast, and they're going to be physical with the guards. And if Klingen's got to be going up and down, up and down, up and down, he's going to get tired. And we've seen when the offense kind of stutters when he's not in. Also, with how many threes they play, how many possessions they're going to have during the game, this is a lot of variance. There's going to be a lot of variance in this game with the way Alabama plays and them getting a big number. That is what I want to be about. I think Sears is legit. I think, oh my God, I'm spacing on the guy's name, number 23. I think he's took a big Pringle. I think he has taken a big step forward. I think he's going to be able to rebound. Bama's been rebounding very good in this tournament. I think that's going to continue. I'm going to take Bama here plus the 12, man. You know, I'm probably going to sprinkle a little bit on that money line, dude. I think this game is going to come down to the final minute.
Yeah, I think this is if you're going to bet one of the two underdogs this weekend, I can picture Bama. I can picture a world where Bama wins the game. It's crazy being plus 12, and you can kind of envision, like you said, a St. John's-esque type game where they just play so fast that yes, you don't allow UConn structure. UConn does terrific when there's structure in a game. When things kind of go off the rails and Dan Hurley is screaming at officials and screaming at fans and screaming at other coaches like he was screaming at Rick Pitino and is not focused on coaching the game, he had a laser. He was on Pardon My Take, and he talked about how laser focused he was and how they were, when they were going up and on that 30-0 run, they've got Larry David in the second row yelling at him, telling him to stop coaching so hard. They need to get not only in UConn's head, they need to get in Dan Hurley's head, because when Hurley goes crazy, the UConn team goes crazy. So I think there's a little bit of both. It'll be super interesting. I'm beyond excited for both games. It was an interesting year. People bitched about how we didn't have, we had a lot of blowouts, but we did get to the point where I do feel like we've got four of the top, definitely going into the tournament, these were top 10 teams minus NC State. So you do get to sprinkle in the one underdog, but then you have three teams that probably very much deserve to be there. And yes, to what you said about it being the largest spread ever, or was it largest spread ever?
Second largest spread.
Second largest ever. That's insane, being the fact that they're a Power 5 school, an SEC school, against a Big East school. And I mean, that's just so many points. I'll be probably with you on plus 12, but plus 6.5 for the sake of the program.
I'm going to be 6.5. I'm going to be 12. I'm going to sprinkle the money line. I'm going to, bet. I'll probably take the Sears over with you. The one I really want to fade, though, is that Stevenson guy, the guy that hit all those threes. I want his props.
Sure.
But right side, who had the concussion in the game against Grand Canyon, we don't know if he's going to play yet. So hence there hasn't been any player props posted yet in that
right
game. It's just kind of something. Okane, dude, I appreciate you coming on. I love talking shop with you. Excited to have you on during the football season. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on social media, my friend?
Yeah, man, you can find me _Okane __. My podcast is Lock Talk. We are off right now. We don't do a whole lot outside of football season. But I was talking with you earlier. We are going to do a little draft episode, more than likely, that we'll get a few familiar faces on, and we'll talk props and things like that, because it should be a super interesting draft. I think the number one pick's probably set in stone, but everything else, a lot of moving parts.
Let me ask you this. If you're the Commanders, not what you think they're going to do, what would you do?
Jaden Daniels.
Okay. I would take May. I would take
it's the safer pick. It's by far the safer pick. Daniels is the firecracker pick. I think you got a owner that wants to make a splash, but at the same time, you've got a fan base that's kind of like teetering, because I mean they expected to be a lot better. They were not very good last year. They need to turn it around, but I think you're right. They are going to go with Drake May. There's no world. And how about this for you and I being in NFC Northland? Dude, are we going to see J.J. McCarthy for like the next 6 years? That would be hilarious. I would love that.
I don't think he lasts 6 years in the league.
No, I don't. No.
Lemon V cuts. Jaden Daniels
Dude,
has a weird ass elbow.
Crazy. If you haven't seen that picture yet, I don't know what's going on with his elbow, but yeah, that is a crazy elbow.
You mentioned JJ McCarthy, and it's an interesting thing. I was talking about this, and tangent. Betting the draft. This is how you have to think about it. One of the big things is, hypothetically, let's say the Commanders take May or take Daniels, whoever, and then the Vikings trade up to 3, which is the big rumor.
Sure.
So there's gonna be value created on whoever's not drafted in pick 2 taking their under prop, because they're gonna fall.
Yeah.
I don't think the Cardinals are gonna take them. Maybe who's at 5? I don't know if Giants are at 5. Maybe the Giants
5 are gonna be New York. Yeah.
So that's a way you have to kind of look at the draft. And also another thing someone brought up to me, which is one of the best tips, is look at needs. So look at their depth charts. When there's one team, the New Orleans Saints, they don't have one offensive tackle on their team. So, you know what I mean? They're obviously going to take an offensive tackle there. So
right.
Kind of betting like that. I think one of the props that I kind of like, that I'm probably going to bet, Brock Bowers to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Dude. Yeah, that's you're going to see me tweeting the Jesse meme. You can't keep getting away with this. Oh,
but I mean, God. Kelsey's getting older. We don't know what's going on with Rice with his legal situation. I don't know.
Dude,
just kind of
Rashee Rice. What the hell are you doing, man?
And this is my one thing about Rashee Rice. And I don't know if people realize this. The NFL has a phone number. So let's say I play in the league and you and I are at Major Goldsbeeds in Milwaukee. And we're really shit canned after a Bucks game.
That tracks.
I could call this number and they are having someone there to pick us up and take us to wherever. And the fact you are drag racing, oh my God, man.
After all the bad things that's already happened with drag racing, with Henry Ruggs, with 90% of the Georgia Bulldogs.
It's just sad. You know what I mean?
It is.
Just think, man. Just think.
Yeah.
We're going to be back next week. We're going to be talking some Masters with my boy Matty P. So make sure to check that out. Make sure to give my boy Okane a follow. Until next week, boys and girls, let's make some money. Let's cash some tickets.